Mayweather Promotions CEO Leonard Ellerbe says Ryan Garcia is capping when it comes to Gervonta Tank Davis. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Make sure you guys head over to Patreon and sign up. I will be shifting some of the content over to the Patreon members and also YouTube channel members. To become a YouTube channel member, click the join button right next to the subscribe button, or go to the link in the description and go to Patreon. Now let's talk about it. Mayweather Promotions CEO Leonard Ellerbe has responded to a statement from Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia did a recent interview and he gave his opinion about Gervonta Tank Davis and a potential fight, right? I made a video about this. Make sure you guys check that video on the channel. So basically, Ryan Garcia was speaking with Dan Rafael on an Impact Network. And Ryan Garcia was doing this interview and he was saying that Gervonta Davis thinks he can walk through me, but he's in for a rude awakening, basically. And I'm just going to paraphrase for you guys. And that Gervonta Davis is basically a one-trick pony, and he has a couple moves that he does, and I don't think he has much more than that. You know, he says he ducks down and he comes up and he's not going to catch me with that punch. And he's saying he believes that he could beat Gervonta Davis, basically. And Ryan Garcia has called for this fight, and he said this for a while. Very confident in his ability. He feels he could beat Tank. Now you'll see on the screen, the article came across the desk of Mayweather Promotions CEO Ellerbe, and the caption says, Ryan Garcia says Gervonta Davis thinks he'll walk right through me. I know he won't. And Leonard Ellerbe, in response to that, says, LOL, nice kid, but it's all cap. Shit corny right now. His trainer told everyone what's up. He ain't ready yet. So that's the clapback and response from Mayweather Promotions. I want you guys in the comment section, let me know what you guys think. Listen, I've said the same thing. I dig Ryan Garcia's ambition. You know, he seems like he genuinely wants to fight the best, and he's tired of people doubting him, people thinking he's a pretty boy. So he just has that chip on his shoulder like he wants to prove it. That's fine and dandy. That's good. I'm at the point where I'm enjoying the careers of a lot of the young guys, like, you know, Jaron Boots Ennis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, also Ryan Garcia. I think he's improving with Eddy Reynoso and joining Canelo's team. Gervonta Davis, you know, just there's a ton of guys. You know, I'm not gonna sit up here and list everyone. My man Joey Spencer, Virgil Ortiz, David Benavidez, a lot of young guys, and it looks like boxing will be in good hands for quite some time. Daniel Dubois is a heavyweight that I'm looking at, and I like it. So I understand Ryan Garcia's needing to prove something because he feels a lot of people hate on him, which is true. He does have a lot of haters, you know, and for someone this point of his career. But my thing is, the statements he's making, I gotta see him fight the upper echelon people, because the names he's mentioning his name with, like Lomachenko, Pacquiao, Gervonta Davis, he hasn't currently been given the opportunity or been in the ring and fought on paper, not like sparring, because I know he sparred with Lomachenko and probably Jorge Linares and some other people, but I'm talking about in a professional fight under the bright lights where the pressure's amount. He hasn't fought guys that are even a fraction of a Lomachenko, a Gervonta Davis, etc., like a guy who is a level below, you know, or at least this point of his career. So for me, I dig the energy, but I gotta see it put into fruition. You know, I feel like Ryan Garcia needs to call a team meeting with Golden Boy, meet up in the Golden Boy offices or whatever, sidebar with Oscar and Eric Gomez and get this figured out so he can at least fight the Jorge Linares of the world, a former champion, a decorated former champion, guys like that, because the names that he has fought, you know, they just don't rival a Gervonta Tank Davis. And I think that's kind of why Leonard Ellerbe is saying it's cap. And I don't know what Ellerbe's referring to. He said his trainer said he's not ready. So I don't know what he's referring to particularly with that, but I guess his trainer, must have said he wasn't ready. Eddie, I'll look it up. If you guys know, or if you guys can link the article or the interview where his dad or his trainer, Eddy Reynoso, or whoever said this, that Leonard Ellerbe is alleging, I would love to check that out and listen to it. I don't know offhand, this is a freestyle video, so I don't know offhand what he was referring to. But if his team is saying stuff like that, like he's not ready for Gervonta Davis, then that's kind of a discord, because you have Ryan Garcia off the leash and ready to fight everybody and publicly going at it and having Twitter finger wars and social media battles with Abner Mares and stuff. Like, these are all great names. Like Abner Mares, he's talking about Henry Cejudo and Tank Davis and Devin Haney, but we haven't yet to see him fight anybody who's revered. Like Henry Cejudo is an Olympian. Abner Mares is a multiple-time champion. These are the types of things we would have to see him in the ring with those caliber people before, and it would make sense. And I think that people at that point will have no choice but to believe in the Ryan Garcia movement and stuff like that. So, actually, you know what? I know exactly. As I'm recording the video, I remember Eddy Reynoso did an interview with ESPN Deportes, and I'll probably try to show flashes on the screen. It just came to me. I actually reported about this. So Leonard Ellerbe, the fact check actually checks out. See, I talk about so much boxing, sometimes I forget little nuanced things. But Eddy Reynoso, now that came back to me, he did an interview with ESPN Deportes, and he specifically says, we need more fights before we fight the upper echelons and the Ryan Garcias, and it's going to take some time, a couple fights. We're not at the level. Ryan Garcia hasn't beaten anyone. This is not me talking. So, nobody can get mad at me, get mad at Eddy Reynoso, the trainer of Ryan Garcia, because he was being sincere, he was being honest, and he said that, right? And to me, it's kind of a bad look, because this is the stuff that the fine line in boxing where things begin to look like clout chasing, because you can't bark up the tree and then your team doesn't back you up in fulfilling that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like somebody starting fights with the neighborhood kids from inside, safely inside, and they're looking out the window talking ish to the bullies and, the big kids on the block and stuff like that, and they're yelling obscenities from their bedroom window, knowing that they're not coming out. It's just, you can't do that. It doesn't make sense. And that's the fine line between, kind of reality and clout chasing. And I think Ryan Garcia should just, whatever, I don't care what it is, but just be on the same page as your team, because it's not just his trainer, Eddy Reynoso, who said we haven't beaten anybody and he needs more fights before he's ready for the likes of Tank Davis. There's an interview with ES News and Oscar De La Hoya, and they said, is Ryan ready for Gervonta? And then Oscar said, no, Tank's a beast. And that's it. So as much exuberance and energy that Ryan Garcia has for the situation, his team doesn't seem to have that same level of interest. And the thing is, it's cool. You want to build your fighter, and I look at it like De La Hoya is looking at like, okay, this kid's 21. He already amassed a crazy following. There's no real rush. So Ryan Garcia got to pump the brakes then. You see what I'm saying? If your team is going to take that path, you have to have a common message. That's what I really feel. If your team is taking the standpoint of just saying, there's no big deal, there's no real rush, just keep winning the fights, keep looking good, we'll build you up, get the needed experience, and then we'll start putting you in, then you have to have faith in your team. If you don't have faith and confidence in your team and the way they're moving you, then that's another side issue, and you have to address that, because ultimately your team has to have the same goals aligned with what your goals are. Because if they don't, then why are they your team? You see what I'm saying? So I think Ryan Garcia should take a timeout and, consider his team and consider what they're saying and all get on the same page. But that's why I don't like making too many videos about this, especially if I'm not caught up with other videos, unless it looks like this is actually going somewhere. Because I'm not going to build, Ryan Garcia is already popular. I'm not going to spend a lot of energy, keep talking about stuff, and then it leads to nowhere. It's like no man's land. You know, fights, I get, my time is money. I get paid for this. So I'd rather give somebody exposure that needs it than to give exposure to a clout chase situation, and then between the promoters and the landscape of boxing and where the situation's at, nothing ever becomes of it. Then that's just kind of a waste of my time. You guys get it? So I just want to see a common message from Team Ryan Garcia. That's my truest thoughts. Also, sign up for ESPN Plus, link in the description. It helps my channel when you guys click on that link so we can do more, show you more, buy more gear, keep producing the hot content for you guys. Click on the ESPN Plus link. The link is in the description. ESPN Plus, home of a lot of original content, exclusives, BTS, and content you can't find anywhere else. They also have an archive of classic fights. Click that link in the description. Again, it helps the channel. Get ESPN Plus as a standalone app, or you can bundle it. ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all three apps, one price. That's $12.99 a month. Let me know what you guys think of Leonard, Ellerbe, Mayweather Promotions saying, check your team. Your team was right. Your trainer was right. Eddy Reynoso. This is all cap, you know? And I think boxing is just kind of creeping in that territory of a lot of clout chasing. And, you know, you can't have situations. It just doesn't look good when you have situations where you start something, but it can't be completed. You see what I'm saying? Like, keep calling for the Gervonta Davis fight, but then you were down to spar him, but Eric Gomez is on record saying that they put a halt to the sparring and they didn't allow him to spar. They said, hey, nobody's gonna be sparring, not on my watch. You know, you can't do that. How are you gonna say you want to fight him, but then your team won't even let you spar behind closed doors with Gervonta Davis? So, you know, that's why Leonard Ellerbe is saying it's cap. You know, and this is not a knock on Ryan Garcia. I really like what the kid's doing, but he in his heart could really feel these things. But again, you got to look at the discord between what you feel and what you want and the direction that you're headed in, or mentally where you're at, and your team. It's clear as day they're not on the same page. Because if they were on the same page, like, when have you ever seen Derek James say that Errol Spence ain't ready for anybody? Like, Errol Spence is calling for Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence is calling out Kell Brook at the time. Errol Spence is saying he wants to fight Lamont Peterson. Errol Spence is saying he wants to fight Danny Garcia. And you hear Derek James, his trainer, saying Errol Spence needs 2 or 3 years. He needs 2 or 3 fights to build up. He hasn't beat anyone. He's not ready. You don't see that. I've interviewed Derek James and Errol Spence several times, and you see a common thread, and they're on the same page. So behind the scenes, it makes your team look stronger when everybody's in unison. And I'm saying this is my 2 cents, but it's also a bit of advice to all boxing teams. When you guys are all speaking a common message, it makes you look stronger because you're moving as a pack, you're moving as a unit, and you look like a well-oiled machine. I haven't seen or heard a situation where Errol Spence, he's been hungry. He's been calling out for the best fights. He's been calling out Kell Brook, and he did have to wait and play the game because he was the boogeyman at welterweight. So he had to play all the game and the charades, and, you know, couldn't get the fights that he was asking for. But never once did you hear his immediate team, strength and conditioning coaches, or his advisor Al Heyman or Derek James, tell you that Errol Spence ain't ready. So there's something that your own team sees. If they're saying you're not ready for the fights that you're calling out, they're telling you to pump your brakes. So I feel like, I understand Ryan Garcia is young, but he has to consider those things. And if he's not willing to consider it, and he's just like, I'm the star, it's my show, my way, the highway, then at that point, then why do you have that team? You know? So some things need to be discussed. Ryan Garcia, Tank, you know, undoubtedly it'd be one of the biggest fights of this generation, you know, this generation's fighters. It would be a big fight, But I feel like we're very far out from getting that fight, especially with DAZN. They haven't really put on no big fight that involves a PBC fighter, you know? And I'm not talking about Triple G, Derevchenko, something like that. Plus, that was a mandatory situation where you don't really have a choice unless Golovkin were to, of course, duck Derevchenko again. That's my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think. Drop all your thoughts in the comment section. We're going to talk this talk as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.